Yeah.
Stopwatch.
Yeah. Oh, is it recording now? Yeah.
Hello, YouTube. Yes, it's I again, Mr. Dust, and we're trying a new format out, which is selecting some articles from the week, and we're both going to discuss and expand and ask questions why and how we can improve our minds upon these subjects. So we don't have the answers, but we do have thoughts and ideas upon these subjects that we're going to talk about uh, accordingly. So, my name is Dust.
My name's Khaled. Looking forward to our little news review.
Usually, it's the first time we've done this. It's quite
Yeah,
exciting. Are you excited?
Yeah, it's always interesting. I like discussing important issues. So yeah.
There you go. Let's see how this format functions and is it of resource and use to people out there in the world, and of course us two as well.
Yeah.
So first things is the big topic at the moment is the strikes.
Hmm.
Would you like me to give you? I'll just give a quick
Yeah.
1 minute overview of that, which is basically
Yeah.
poverty. Living in poverty is a terrible thing,
Yeah.
and if you're working full time and still living in poverty, it's going to say in your mind, well, this is pretty horrendous. Why am I in that situation? And
Yeah.
how do I get out of that situation? And the strikes materialize because the out appears to be there are no outs. That's my 1 minute summary.
Interesting. Yeah. So I think some of the strikes are unnecessary because a lot of the train drivers' jobs are unnecessary because they can be replaced by robots a long time ago. But I think it's a lot of like, for example, the DLR that replaced train drivers a long time ago. There's a lot of electronics that could do their jobs better, but I think there's just a lot of some sort of politics or something else going on with the what do you call the unions that somehow keeping their jobs unnecessary. That's how I see it.
What about the nurses?
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about. I only had
We are going to talk
RMT in
about.
my mind.
No, we're
Yeah.
going to talk about trans as well because what you said is.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So the way I
correct,
see
but
the
I'm just adding
nurses,
to it.
yeah, the way I see the nurses, I think they're purposely trying to destroy the NHS to get it privatized.
Nurses are.
No, sorry. I should say, somebody's putting the strings to take out all the money out of NHS, make it completely useless and hopeless, and then people will go, you know what, we're ready to pay for private. A lot no more people will go towards private just because the NHS is so hopeless. Not because the people are hopeless, because there's no money left in it. They're not paying anybody to do their jobs anymore. And that's what I see is happening. I think it was part of a delayed thing where Trump, not too long ago, wanted to buy the NHS and couldn't, wasn't accepted. So I think they're destroying it first, so making it more palatable to the British people to have a private NHS.
Well, I think your assessment on the nurses
Yeah.
is spot on. Your job as nurses and caring for people in of a country happens to be the UK. Looking at the wrong thing, not helpful. Happens to be a job which is particularly focused on caring about humanity and improving humanity. Because
Mm.
it is a humane um, action, but also it brings immense economic value as well.
Yeah.
So, how does even though it's free in the UK, which should be free everywhere, of course, how does something free actually make the economy richer in that country? And it's very simple that if you're ill, you can't function um, as a human being in your job 100%. But if
Yeah.
you're well and mentally well, then you can give 100% to your job. And if you know that you're ill and have to go to the doctor and then face a lifetime of debt,
Mm.
that makes you even more ill and even poorer and destroys the economy of a country. Unless you're the rich kid that owns the health system,
Mm.
you will get very rich, but the rest of the country will live in horror and poverty. Actually, we're just going to pause it for a second. So what I've just done is download a chess clock, and instead of playing chess, I feel like conversations can be like chess.
Conversational
Actually,
chess.
it's just in so that I have an awareness of how much I'm verbally occupying someone else's reality. So that's what it's about. So we can give this a try. So you are on a journey with us, and I'm probably we'll see if we recommend this for you to do the same as well when interacting with other human beings and understanding uh, dialogue, conversation. And so I'll should really start that. Hang on, why are you going down?
I don't know.
That's it, right? That's
Okay.
fine.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because it's always the opposite. When you tap, isn't it? Then you have a,
It's because when you're playing chess,
yeah,
the person that doesn't start
yeah.
starts.
You like tapped. You said, oh,
Yeah.
I've done my
So
turn.
I asked the opponent, "Are you ready?"
Yeah.
And they press. Their clock doesn't go down. It's your opponent's at that
Yeah.
moment. That's why that happens.
Yeah.
It's complicated. It's a chess thing. Right. So with wow. Now I've lost my train of thought. So yeah, national health. Your analysis of the national health service is absolutely correct. It's been destroyed. It always has been since its creation by rich kids that want to revert back to what it was, where it's purely the rich are allowed to have access to health. And if you wish to have a healthy life yourself, and you're not a rich kid, then you'll be forced into a lifetime of debt with that mortgage, actually on top of the mortgage and other terrible non completely made up realities where always ends up with you becoming poorer.
Yeah, so one thought that some of these rich people should realize is that, and there's Islamic teaching, which is take care of the people. I can't remember the exact phrase of it, but the sentiment is something like take care of the people on the bottom, as it were, because society stands on them, depends on them. So this is what we noticed in the pandemic. We were clapping for the nurses, clapping for the dustbin people, because if they didn't do their job, whole of society would collapse. And if the dustbin people didn't take away the rubbish, we would have rat infested, whatever, diseases everywhere, everything would collapse. Um, these people, when you get nearer the top, let's say, you forget what the whole of society depends on. How these people at the top, how they're living, they don't realize depends on so many people on the lower ranks. So they shouldn't underestimate them and try to like destroy them, quite frankly.
Oh, it's fun having a little hockey
Mm.
thing. So that's really interesting what you just said there. I want to just focus particularly on the people at the top. I think the way you articulate that kind of indicates that they're not aware of the people. And I completely disagree with that. The people at the top, Oxbridge, the rich kids, these are the people who I mean at the top, by the way, who are completely removed from reality, realize perfectly the horror they're committing on people. And why would they do that? These people are Christians, by the way, religious people. That doesn't mean they represent religion.
Right.
They're just the top of religion. That's what I always mean when I talk about religion. If I forget to add that, it's because I get bored of keep having to add that. That's always I mean that. And they know that nurses, train drivers, um, other people who are workers in the UK or across the world, that if they get paid well, they are happy people. And happy people means that you can't control. It's so hard to control a happy person because once the person is desperate, lives in fear, anxiety, austerity. Therefore, you can create people like Hitler or Donald Trump who can come in and create any madness about Jewish people or Muslim people or Christian people and use that to generate war and murder. So it's very hard to get somebody who's happy, who's getting paid well, has a lovely family, feels like they have a life rewarded, to go off, round a load of Jewish people or Muslim people, put them into a camp and slaughter them. You
Yeah.
need to have the bedrock of austerity and horror first for a genocide to happen. So not only these strikes enabling a better life and community for all of us, they're literally stopping the next war and genocide, which is what the rich kids want.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to press the button for no
You
reason.
can.
I was going to do it
Gives
wrong.
me more time. Oh no, it doesn't give me
I
more
was going to
time.
get mixed up. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Um, that basically, when you've got terror and fear, they're easier to control. When people are desperate, they'll do anything. Yeah. Um, yeah. I think I have a problem with strikes that sometimes they can be sometimes become political. I'm not a big fan of the train strikes. Um, from a technical point of view, I've been fairly aware that the train drivers can be replaced. And that might sound bad, like oh yeah, go on.
Question: why do you want to? What does a person who works no longer has a job? What are they meant to do?
Yeah, so this is the thing about technology. Like, there's always been, as technology advances, like when freezers came into existence. Before freezers, there were the people who kind of got ice from the cold rivers or something, and they would, there were always different jobs that kind of died out as new jobs came into existence. So I think it is a difficult transition for people who have to kind of maybe skill up or something like that. We definitely have to talk to this lady, I think. Um, but it's not like happened suddenly. Like loads of people are aware for 10 years, 20 years that the technology is coming up that train drivers are becoming increasingly unnecessary. I've had DLR for a very, very long time. Um, but I think and it's a lot of money as well 90,000, 80,000 a train driver. Yeah, I think it's just kind of how technology works, but it makes for better jobs in the long term. Like instead of repetitive jobs where they're barely awake and they're just pressing a button, they can go, pressing the button, then go. That's what train driving is, as far as I know. Um, they will end up having better jobs, I think.
Okay, so I think I disagree with the train stations, but I said that already. I don't repeat that. But I think we agree on that strikes do have a purpose. I think we talked with nurses; they are generally doing a great job, and I like the bit you brought up about the clapping. I think when the Tories got you lot to clap for the nurses, while they fucking knew at the same time they were going to cut your wage. Literally, they knew at the same time they knew they were cutting your wage. And because your wage isn't physically cut, doesn't mean it isn't cut. Inflation means a cut wage. And not since the 70s has the working class in the UK and across the world, Western world, I don't know about China or Middle East, but the Western world, the majority of the working class has received paid cuts throughout the whole lives, while the while the wealth of the world has been shifted away from the people working and doing the work, away from that group to the group which do nothing apart from steal everything, sit on it, and watch the world burn, literally global warming. Okay, I think I've
Yeah.
concluded that.
So, I mean, yeah, there's always millions of things we could say about it. I
Right.
mean, I'm not a big fan of strikes, really, because they could always be circumvented. Like, for example, what they're thinking of doing is bringing the army to replace lots of different people, like ambulance drivers, whatever. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, but but I can see their function as well. Yeah.
Uh, oh, sorry, it's you.
I think it's just that I think the root of the problem needs to be fixed, is what I'm saying. I think a lot of what we've got terrible leaders as usual, and we need to start fixing that because that's where it all stems from. It's really it's not a good. It's ideally we shouldn't have to go on strike. I think everybody agrees on that because it harms a lot of people as well, right? So I'd rather sort the root of the problem is what I'm saying. But anyway.
Right, wow, you brought some really good points. They brought the army in. So the government is happy to employ people to do a job and get paid relatively quite well. And I'd imagine, so they're happy for that. It's just not happy for actually trained, dedicated workforce to actually do the job. Because the army is, of course, taxpayer paid for. Let's not forget that. And I like the other point you brought up, which is absolutely, I forgot to, should have said this myself at the beginning. My mistake, everyone. the only reason why we have unions, the only reason why we have strikes, is because the working class, I include the majority of the middle class in that because for reasons. Majority of the working class has no political representation in Parliament. That's why unions exist. That's the only reason why unions exist, is because there is no political representation whatsoever. If there was, that means there, our leaders will therefore make sure that the nurses get paid well, coal miners, doctors, nurses, the police, grossly underfunded, the police, all these, and the army, grossly underfunded because the working class have zero political representation. So the unions is a symptom not of uh, constant rebellions and irritants and annoyance for you, but a pure symptom of the majority of people having no political power whatsoever.
Cool. Yeah, sounds that's a good argument. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Cool.
Uh, Next subject, which is Peru. Peru. So just recently, I'm not sure if you know about this. Um, the former president Pedro was just shoved out of power. He was elected and got the majority of the votes, and he got onto. I don't agree with all his politics. I should point out very clearly here, because he has some quite right-wing politics about the gay community and other aspects like that. Clearly disagree with that. But what I do agree with is nationalisation of energy and resources that are in the country, because Peru is a very rich country, as in the wealth of Peru, the land and the people. And so he came into power on a manifesto to, instead of that money being skirted off to other countries, generally Christian countries, by the way, like America and other religious countries, but was going to bring that money back into Peru and pay the workers and the nurses. Exactly what's happening in UK. Pay the workers, pay for schools and education and health services, and make a country and a community. And he's been now ousted by a far right lunatic who just wants to make sure that all the money that's ever made by you is stolen and taken up to foreign tax havens and
Yeah.
internationals.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think has happened there? Because it sounds like what America's been doing since for the last couple of decades. They keep in any government they don't like, they get rid of it through a puppet regime. So they've done that in Pakistan recently, where they got some ex-criminals who were allowed to be in government, paid them loads of money to do a vote of no confidence against Imran Khan, who's incredibly popular in the country.
And a cricket player.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's been a very popular president or prime minister. I always get mixed up. But it seems to be pretty much everywhere. They've had that in so many countries. Iran has had that in the past with the I can't remember they had it before the Khomeini or something. There was another guy who's famously supposedly a puppet of America or CIA. And then, but also, what's the country that's got the biggest oil reserves in the world or something in South America?
Argentina.
Is it Argentina? There's another one, and then they got rid of I can't remember.
Venezuela.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Didn't they mess up with the? They really messed them around. I can't remember exactly what they did. But
Exactly the same thing happening Venezuela as in Peru, which is that the elected leader said actually just letting internationals, Christian oil companies, just steal off all the money. I'm not saying Muslim around Saudi Arabia, which is allegedly a Muslim country, doesn't do the same thing, by the way. It's just that Muslims don't own the oil companies that own Venezuela or Peru, they are Christian companies that
Hmm.
are stealing that, American, backed by America, of
Yeah.
course. So they are doing that, and in doing so, what I referred to in our other segment. Oh shit! No, you need to press that.
Was it my time game? It's okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, yeah,
I'll just knock up a minute off my thing.
yeah,
So as I was just saying about,
yeah.
and this all links back to the strikes again, as it links to what I was saying about austerity. It leads to desperation, no community, no love, no understanding between people and communities and religions.
Yeah.
Austerity destroys our opportunity to be lovely to each other.
It's annoying. I don't want that fly to go into your thing.
That's all right. We have a flying intruder. I suspect it may be a CIA operative.
Could be.
Yeah, it's sneaky little
We're really
CIA.
important, you know.
With a little more control.
Yeah.
Of course, they act anyway. So this, what you were saying happened with Imran Khan, was it?
Imran Khan, yeah.
So it comes back to this again, because I believe his politics, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
also were trying to make the country better
Yeah.
and bring the wealth back.
Yeah.
That's the common theme happened. The strike in UK is the same as the strike in Peru or Pakistan. Is that right?
Yeah, Pakistan. Yeah.
Sorry. It's the same. It's all linked, and the money being stolen from you, from us, and being put onto an island is the common theme through this. I've got 40 seconds left.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I think it's unfortunate um, that America feels like it has to rob the rest of the world to keep going. It's not really American people. It's just a few people at the top who just have endless greed. And it's not like they don't have enough money. It's just a strange. Basically, I think it's a sort of extreme materialism. They're thinking one day they'll be happy by being a bit richer. I remember there's a movie, was it called The Richest Man in the World? All the wealth in the world, all the money in the world. That's what it's called.
That was
About
Getty,
Yeah.
who owns most of the photographs in the world.
Really? Oh yeah.
Or
Yeah.
when you see at the bottom of the photographs, it says Getty.
Yeah, I didn't think
That's
about
him,
that. Yeah.
even though he's now dead.
Yeah. And I remember like they said, "How much do you want?" And it was always like more.
He's an oil company.
Yeah. It's always more. And it never made him happier or anything like that. He died miserably by himself. So they don't. People. Some of these supposedly really clever people who seem to be able to make lots of money. They don't seem to learn the easiest life lessons, which is just more money won't make you happy.
Absolutely true.
Yeah. That's it.
So I got 40 seconds,
Yeah.
and if I go, well, tell me. So Getty, who was an oil magnate, by the way, got his money from oil, who wouldn't pay the ransom to his son that was chopped up. He was a Christian. He got his beliefs and values from Christianity. He was not an atheist.
Right.
These oil companies like Exxon and those other oil companies are Christian owned. They're not atheist. Now, would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, in a way, yeah, I would. Okay, and that kind of ties in with my, interestingly, with a Muslim belief that it would be so the Antichrist, as a phrase that you might have heard a lot
I have
of
heard
times,
that
right?
phrase. My ears went.
Yeah, it's actually in the Quran. It's mentioned the Antichrist would be the so-called Christian nations because they don't really follow Jesus at all. Because Jesus always said, "I'm not God. I'm just a prophet of God." But the beliefs of the current Christians are exactly anti-Jesus. So, but those nations would rise up. Um, and they would be the great antichrist. It's not a singular figure; it's a power that would. So there's a lot of connotations in Islam about who the antichrists are, but one of the names given is Dajjal, which is the great deceiver, and they deceive the world about what they're doing to control the world. And the other connotations of it is firepower. So they have a lot of firepower that they use to control the world through deception, things like that. And There's a lot of other things like that, but basically, I can see the connection. So I don't really see them as real Christians. They just Christian by name, but actually they're anti-Christian by real theology. Yeah,
No, carry on. Just
yeah. Oh, that's it. That's it, really.
it's not there for you to stop talking.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just
Yeah,
there for
yeah.
you to know that.
Know how much I've been talking. Yeah,
Yeah.
roughly.
So
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah. So in that sense, I agree that. Yeah, yeah,
So I've only. Oh God. So I've only got 10 seconds, but
yeah, yeah.
I just, for me, I don't like going down that rhetoric because there's a danger that it doesn't really acknowledge that a lot of people that call themselves religious, Jewish, Muslim, or Christian, are not at all these um, religions that they
Power-hungry.
believe
Yeah.
that they represent.
Mm.
They fundamentally in their hearts see it that way, but they don't actually represent it in reality. And so I don't think that makes them a Satanist, but not an Antichrist or anything of that nature. It just makes them horrible people who live by hate and slavery and I think was the portion before, and use religion to excuse their horrendous behaviour.
Yeah.
That's me
Yeah.
concluded.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last subject we're going to talk about is Elon Musk. Now, just a quick recap. I believe Elon Musk is one of the greatest people on the planet, and I call him an anti-capitalist capitalist, which means basically he's a horrible person, but he's actually trying to do something really good. So he's a confused human being. He's confused. He generally doesn't understand that capitalism doesn't mean doing good things. It doesn't mean innovation. It doesn't mean development and creativity and wonder of life and the beauty of life, and turning that into a viable business model. That's what he thinks capitalism is. But now he's just discovering what capitalism really is. And so Elon Musk creates spaceships, which are never been so amazing and technical ever, and they can mass produce spaceships, which only the Russians have ever been able to do. America's never or Europe has ever been able to even come close to mass producing spaceships, which is a technical feat in itself. He's the person that is going to create Tesla, a car which doesn't murder people every time you sit in it and drive somewhere. Literally, every time you get in your car, you are raping, murdering somebody across the world by doing that. Because you're using oil and petrol, which only war which only war and repression and murder has ever happened in those rich oil companies. Like we were just talking about a moment ago, like Venezuela, Iran, Saudi Arabia, South American countries, where the West and others have felt that only war and repression are the way to get that. Tesla car takes away all that, and it does free Wi-Fi from satellite, never been done before. Any country in the world now can get satellite internet connection. Unbelievable technology. You pay for it, sorry, but if you're in the UK, you get it free because he's giving it free to the Ukraine and the war effort.
Yeah.
But you pay just a normal monthly fee for it anywhere else in the world, and you get guaranteed brilliant internet access free of interference. And he's one of the greatest. Yes, he's great at making products, but as I just said a moment ago, he is profound at how to mass produce things cheaply. That's his real gift, is how to mass produce things cheaply, like Tesla car. It is the greatest profit margin on a car in human history. Profit margin that he makes per car, no other car company can come close. So now he's bought Twitter, and this is what this is about. He is now having all the capitalists are now turning against him and trying to moan about this capitalist having free speech on owning a media outlet, where the other capitalists, who are not anti-capitalist capitalists, realise that he's a threat to their existence, and now they're trying to destroy him. And they have tried to destroy Tesla by short selling, which is a whole new story.
Yeah.
So that's me concluded,
Okay, yeah.
just as
So
introduction.
yeah, I'm just thinking what to say. Yeah, I don't. I think he's he's a clever guy. His heart's in the right place. When I say in the right place, it doesn't mean he's perfect. He's got good intentions, and I think as human beings, we've got really good lie detectors, and we can see if somebody's genuine. Do you know what I mean? So he says all sorts of awkward things and weird things. Sometimes a bit rude here and there. Like calling I know the guy who was trying to help the poor guy, boys stuck in a cave, called him paedophile. He gets a bit annoyed. It's not perfect. He's got family problems, all this kind of stuff, and he even says you don't want to be me anyway. Like he knows you know he just can't switch off and all that kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, just a nice guy with good intentions. I'm a bit worried about some of the things he's up to, like Neuralink. Um, I'm not sure. I think it's to do with trust, really. If we weren't in a world full of distrust, then maybe Neuralink sounds good because he does say, you could repair all sorts of long-term problems, like people not being able to move their legs or their eyes not working. It's nice, but the problem is trust. Um, let's get to Twitter. I think it's great. He didn't have to buy Twitter. It's not like a business move. In fact, I believe him when he describes himself as a really big bad business person. Like that's what he says. Like all the businesses he gets into, they're most likely not to work. Like a car company hasn't been invented for so long. A rocket company wasn't likely to survive. It's such a he could never know that he would actually succeed. So I believe him that he's not choosing easy challenges. So if you're not choosing easy challenges, there's a good chance it's going to fail. And I believe his, I my truth sensor when he talks and he seems genuine enough that when he's saying that he didn't think it was going to succeed, I believe it. When you listen to liars, the politicians and things, they talk like robots. Do you know what I mean? My truth sensor tells me, you know what. And by the way, this is something based in psychology. You can check it out. Human beings are quite good at telling if somebody's lying. They're not perfect, but that's why when there's adverts, when they're not being genuine, you can tell that it's not that genuine. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm maybe because was going into a car business, which would destroy the oil companies. That's his car business model. He was to destroy the oil companies because the oil companies are murdering the planet. They are pumping out trillions of tons of CO2 each year, and at the same time earning trillions of pounds for themselves. So they're also incentivized to destroy this planet. Elon Musk is doing the literal opposite of that, which is not destroying the planet. And of course, um, what comes out of not only is he also what doesn't happen from a Tesla is produce gases and pollutants and particulates which are destroying children's lives, our children's lives, and causing brain damage as well,
Hmm.
because those particulates can transfer through the lung into the heart and into the brain, and have been recorded as causing brain damage to
Hmm.
reduce IQ points.
Hmm.
And the oil companies are all knowing this, and it ties back into the conversation earlier.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking about Twitter. Is
Yeah.
he really going to save free speech? Is Twitter really the only mechanism for free speech? I do think we should try our best, even if it's not the only mechanism. I think we should try our best, but at the same time, I suppose that the way algorithms work, there's a sort of echo chamber. We tend to hear what we want to hear. We tend to be in groups which we agree with. So we ourselves have to take responsibility. I think it's great things like Speaker's Corner, where people talk to people who they disagree with and they're still friends with. We disagree plenty, don't we? And we're still friends. We talk all the time. So we can't just rely on Elon Musk to fix things, but I think Elon Musk is making a genuine effort to make things better. I've never really got into Twitter. I mean, not just because I didn't feel like getting into Twitter. When I go into Twitter, I can't get into any interesting, good conversations. Anything where I challenge people with new ideas, basically because I'm not famous, I don't even get a response most of the time. So unless I say something really rude or something, actually I've never tried saying rude, but I get the sense that if I said something really rude, maybe I'll get more attention. So I don't know. What's your opinion on Twitter? I'm not an expert.
I'm glad you got it back to
Yeah.
subjecting now. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. So what I was talking about was just trying to give you an impression why Elon Musk is being attacked. So that's where I was
Oh,
coming from
okay.
with all that.
Right.
But yes, back to the national subject, in particular, is free speech. And Twitter, because he's famously
Oh, do you
brought,
wanna? Oh no. Yeah. Yeah.
is
Oh, sorry.
I'm
Got
going
chest
into
whiz.
break
Chest
time.
whiz. Sorry.
So, free speech. So he famously brought back Trump, but he has banned uh, Kanye
Oh,
West,
really?
because he was anti-Semitic, quite rightly so. But yeah, free speech is something that, as I think we've talked about before, like Speaker's Corner is a representation of Twitter, I think, by the way. And yes, do have responsibilities, I believe, with free speech. It isn't just a free for all orgy of madness and nonsense and what's the word? A ungoverned, unreasoned discourse. But that's what free speech means, and we should all adopt that. So yeah, I think he's doing a great thing. I think he's learning quite quickly how all the world doesn't actually love him. But he's learning that. He's doing these polls. He's asking people on Twitter, "What do you think of this?" And he's going, "Oh yeah, no one, no one agrees with me on that subject."
What
He's
did he
actually
do, by the
responding.
way?
I
I'm
don't.
not in touch. So, what was his latest
So just
poll?
recently, he banned some, I think, quite rightly, banned some journalists who were reporting on his current whereabouts at all times.
Whose whereabouts?
Elon Musk's.
That's a bit.
It's a bit weird, yeah.
Yeah.
But so he was banned them for doing that, and then the media went, "Oh, we should be allowed to, which you shouldn't be allowed
Yeah.
to report someone's whereabouts at all times, because that's called docking, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't understand that term. I thought it was another.
Stalking it.
Actually, that's a better word.
Yeah.
The media should use that.
Yeah.
They look more guilty then.
Yeah.
So yeah. So free speech does have its limits. I think me telling the world where you are every 30 minutes
Yeah.
is the sign of a Nazi, by
Yeah.
the way. That's
Yeah.
what Nazis do, spy on people constantly.
Yeah.
You know who you are, you fluffers. So yeah, free speech is good.
Yeah.
Twitter is good. Get to talk to journalists, professors. I really only follow people that I agree with or disagree with, and journalists, professors, MPs, and occasionally communicate. They communicate with me occasionally, and frequently I communicate with them.
Yeah. So I just want to repeat the point I like most about what you said about free speech is about civilized society, which requires you to be civilized in some way, which means you're not cussing mums, you're saying something useful, and I don't think it's civilized to treat famous people as inhuman in the sense that you just follow them wherever they go. You shouldn't follow that such kind of journalists. Don't give those people attention because that's why they're doing. They think, oh, that gets attention. I'm going to do it. So don't follow those people. Don't buy magazines that do stalk people as well. Stuff like that. And raise your own standards. That's the only way you can raise the whole of society.
So you've got a lot of time left, by the way. So
Um,
would you like just to expand on another subject, or bring just give more?
I mean, I maybe pretty different subject. You mean?
So you've got some free time, so I think you deserve the last four
Okay.
minutes to.
Oh, I don't have to. I don't feel.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yes. right. So I think yeah. So I've concluded.
Yeah,
I'd like to say thank you very much. Have you
yeah,
concluded? Have
yeah,
you?
yeah. Thank you very much. That was all really good.
And what do you think of this form? What do you think of this format? This comment? What do you think of the format with the chess timer?
Yeah, it's fun. I just forget to. I have to do it right. I have to tap the right time. Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
enjoying it. You think it's
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
gives a sense of how much we're
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
interacting.
that's good. It's another part of what we call civilized society, where we make an effort, even though we're not governed by it, but we choose to, like, uh, respect each other. It's just that's just what you're doing there. It's very nice of you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
I think it's also we're both very passionate people.
Yeah,
There's a lot of passionate people out there, and so you can just naturally, you're not being rude,
yeah,
just naturally lose track of time,
yeah.
and therefore you the person you're speaking to may rightly or unrightly get a little bit irritated
Hmm.
as well, thinking, oh, how much time is it taking? How much time have I had? I think I should have more time. And so that sort of malaise can actually happen in a human being. And also, because we're restricted to time and reality, it's good to be able to have a format which is constantly reminding us as well that we don't have infinite time and our passions do have to have a conclusion as well. Yeah,
Yeah. No, no, it's very
excellent.
good. Thank you.
Well, I am the. Oh, you would you like to say goodbye? Then I'll say goodbye.
I am the dust. Just joking.
We're all dust.
I'm Khaled. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Khaled. You've been wonderful. I am the dust, and I am now officially settled. Hopefully, I recorded all that.